Have you ever wondered why some people seem to breeze through bar prep while you're anxious and feeling overwhelmed? It might be your self-esteem that's sabotaging your success. Stick around as I reveal a groundbreaking strategy to boost your self-worth and self-esteem and conquer the bar exam. What are some signs that you have uncovered that you may be stalling out on bar prep? Some people who are watching this now can possibly identify with feeling emotionally exhausted and overwhelmed, and that's leading up to you needing to take a break. Some people procrastinate right out the gate, and others might be switching study tactics mid-bar prep and other kind of self-sabotaging behaviors that, although you look like you're staying very busy, really signal that you're stalling out on your motivation and determination for bar prep. Any of these sound familiar to you? Share with me in the comments. I'd love to speak with you and engage with you down in the comments below. If you stay on to the end, you're going to pick up a strategy, a pointed, laser-focused strategy that I suggest to my bar mentoring clients when they have self-esteem problems that need to be eradicated for good so that they'll be able to move successfully through bar prep. So if you want to learn that tool and learn about others that I have for you, stay on till the end and I will show you where to get all of that information. So much more that can be covered in this one short video. But here's the deal. If you want to know whether you're dealing with low self-esteem or feelings of undeservedness when it comes to bar prep, simply look at your behavior and what you're doing. A lot of people, and specifically people that I coach, find that procrastination turns into this self-sabotaging tool that feeds into a self-fulfilling prophecy. Low self-esteem creates an expectation of a negative outcome because you personally don't feel like what you're doing is going to make a difference. And so you choose study tactics, skip important subjects, which study tactics right in the middle of bar prep, and do other things that end up fulfilling that prophecy that you have, that your efforts amounted to nothing, that your efforts had no good impact. You'll know if you're suffering from low self-esteem or feelings of undeservedness, not deserving to be an attorney, not deserving to get onto the other side. Sometimes it's conscious and you know that you're feeling like you don't deserve it. Sometimes it's unconscious and you can see it because you don't give any import to how hard you've worked to get here. You say things like, I breezed through law school. Nobody breezed through law school, okay? But you say things like, I don't even know how I made it through. You discount your achievements up to this point. You can be sure that you are suffering from feelings of low self-worth, right? When you don't give proper credit where credit is due. If you have that, what you'll find is that self-sabotage, giving up too quickly, feeling bad when you study, like actually feeling bad, hating studying, feeling like it's a punishment. All of those things are signs and outcroppings of the fact that you have a low self-esteem and low self-worth in approaching the bar exam. So one person I was coaching had the very words that I just repeated to you going through her head. What's the use? I'm just going to bomb on the exam anyway. This is how she spoke to herself while she was studying. It actually made her feel worse while she was studying. So naturally, even if she passed the exam, she was going to take a lot of this negative self-talk with her into her attorney practice, which, if you can imagine that and how miserable that can make your life, you can probably see how important it is to work on that immediately, right now, while you're prepping for the bar exam. And I've made a way to make that easy so that it doesn't take you away from bar prep, but enhances your bar prep. And I'll get into that as we go on. A lot of repetition and emotion goes into programming you to have low self-esteem and low self-worth. You were not born that way. I promise you, on the day you were born, you were not thinking, oh, what a burden I'll be to my parents. That is not the thought that was going through your head. But unfortunately, parents and others doing the best they can, trying to teach us things like humility and other such virtues, mistakenly send the message of you can't congratulate yourself for any of your accomplishments, and you always have to work harder and do better and absolve yourself from some stain of wrongdoing that follows you around and can never be erased. Like you're always doing penance for something, and you always have to do more to show that you're worthy or deserving. And if you get that message repeated to you enough times, especially in your younger years, you're programmed with low self-worth and feelings of undeservingness. You don't deserve this thing. You have to work hard to show that you're worthy of getting it. Well, all that is going to show up on your bar prep. And to reverse that quickly, we have to become very targeted with the repetition and emotion that raises your self-esteem and raises your feelings of self-worth. And that's why I created the tools that I'll talk about later. They're specifically targeted to reverse that programming that occurred when you were a child. And when you were a child coming up, that programming was probably very loosey-goosey and kind of just happened, maybe as you went to church or synagogue or temple or wherever it is that you attended, you from spiritual teachings or just lessons that your parents were teaching you. They probably were not thinking that we're going to brainwash this child into having low self-esteem and low feelings of deservingness and feeling like she always has to work harder and prove that she's worthy of what she gets. They weren't intentionally targeting you with this brainwashing or programming, but it happened. And now you need to reverse it quickly. We intentionally reverse it. We intentionally target the underlying beliefs and actions that need to be targeted in order to turn that thinking around and have you feeling like you deserve to be here, you earned your place here, your actions mean something, your work is effective, and it is good enough for you to pass this bar exam. So we are intentional about changing your programming so that you can do well on the bar exam. If this is making sense to you in this capacity, how we've explained to you where this low self-esteem, low self-confidence, low self-worth is coming from, and how you can see it impacting your bar prep, if it's making sense to you, the tools that you need that are targeted and specifically curated to reverse that programming, hit the like button. I'd like to know that our words are hitting home and making sense to you. So how do you fix this? Let's start with changing the way that you talk to yourself. If you change your self-talk, that changes everything. One bar prepper was, as she was answering her questions and she saw the ones that she missed, she would say, oh, I should have known that. Oh, I've forgotten that. What have I been doing this whole time? I've just been screwing around. She's talking to herself like this. All this negative self-talk is only going to perpetuate that low self-esteem, right? Especially since she didn't have any focus whatsoever on what's going right and where she did well. She would gloss over those and would only be focusing on where she went wrong, not for the sake of filling in the holes and the blanks and expanding her knowledge, but for the sake of beating up on herself. And this barrage of criticism all day and all night did nothing positive for her self-esteem. She needed to change the way that she speaks to herself. However, as we've just covered, chances are if you're doing that to yourself, you were programmed to do that from a very early age. And so changing how you speak to yourself is easier said than done. Changing your vocabulary means changing how you see yourself. It means changing your perspective, and it means changing habits. Catching and changing habits is something that isn't the easiest to do. And studies have shown that a far more productive way of eliminating a bad habit is by building in good habits that crowd out the bad habits. It's like if you want to eat more vegetables or you want to eat less of the bad stuff, you take your plate, you include the bad stuff, but you put more vegetables in there and you eat the vegetables first, thereby leaving you less room for the bad stuff. So it's not a deprivation, but a slow pushing out of the negative thing. Everybody knows that it takes at least 21 days, and some people push it to 30 days to create a new habit. And you can create that new habit more successfully if you infuse it with feelings and emotions, right? So how about 21 to 30 days of daily activities that make raising your self-esteem and your self-worth a habit? Okay? The repetition plus emotion that helps to solidify new knowledge. How about 21 to 30 days of repetitive activities that are supportive of your bar prep, not taking away from bar prep, but supportive of your bar prep? And you can just follow these activities line by line. You don't have to guess your way through or come up with your own things. It's pretty much outlined specifically for you so that you can make raising your self-esteem a habit. If you can do this 5 to 10 minutes a day for 21 days, you have placed yourself squarely in higher self-esteem and self-worth territory. Right? If you could do this for the next few weeks, you'll find yourself confidently tackling the bar exam because you've taken away a bad habit, the habit of speaking down to yourself. Right? The way that you speak to yourself is going to impact whether you want to go study on a daily basis, because who wants to throw themselves into a self-punishment, self-flagellation, self-criticism session? Nobody. Is going to change how you react to getting questions wrong, and you'll be able to not make it mean something bad about you, but simply use it for learning, fill in the blanks and move on. It's also going to help you with your memorization, believe it or not, because a lot of emotional energy goes into first the negative self-talk and then trying to recover from that negative self-talk. All that energy can be released from that and turned towards you clearly taking in the information and remembering it and being able to recall it when you need to answer a question or write an essay. Freeing up that emotional energy from all that negativity is going to directly impact your bar prep. So try this next. There's a self-worth building activity that I like to prescribe to my bar prep clients that are inside our mentoring community. So one coaching client needed to start building her self-worth, and I gave her one quick tip right out of the gate that would help her. It's called a wins list, and writing a wins list every day will help you to start acknowledging where you're going right. And this will start to counteract that voice that tells you that you're doing everything wrong. So if you could start writing a wins list daily or even multiple times a day, you can start to counteract that voice. Of course, you want to go deeper than simply counteracting, and you want to have a wide variety of activities that you do that send the message that you are worthy and you are deserving of having an easy time studying, passing the bar exam, being an attorney, having a great attorney job. A lot of people with low self-esteem and low self-worth, even if they pass the bar exam, they end up getting underemployed and going for jobs that are in terrible work environments because they don't feel like they're worthy or deserving of a normal or better attorney job. So a wins list is something you can use to start and counteract the effects of the negative self-talk that you've been doing to yourself all these years. One coaching client that I was talking to, the same coaching client, when I was explaining to her what goes into a wins list, she said, those are normal things that I should just be doing anyway, right? I don't deserve to be congratulated for it. And so for her case, understanding the why behind the activity that she was doing was really important. That way she wouldn't see it as fluff or just some exercise in egoism, but she could see the direct benefit of that activity on her bar prep. And it made logical sense for her to engage in that activity. Especially this understanding is especially important if your negative self-talk, your low self-worth and low self-confidence came from childhood programming, because it means that in doing these new things, you're essentially turning your back on what you were taught from your family of origin or from your church or from your teachers, people who are in high esteem in your eyes. And to turn your back on those things, you're going to have some pretty good solid reasons. And so having an explanation behind the activities that you will do is going to be super helpful for you so that you can implement those activities without a fight and you can reap the benefits from them. So you can see how the negative impact of low self-worth on your bar prep will lead to continued repeats with the bar. If that's something that you struggled with in the past, maybe right now, after watching this video, you can identify that low self-worth could be the culprit here, causing you to self-sabotage, to second guess yourself, to change directions midstream, not getting the full benefit of any of your study tactics or study programs and other things like that. If you can see the negative impact of low self-worth, then you can see how targeted treatment of low self-worth to raise your self-worth would counteract those negative impacts, would give you positive benefits to your bar prep. And we make that easy by taking the tools that you'll need to implement and laying it out for you with specificity so that all you have to do is follow the directions one day after another. And they don't take away from, but they enhance your bar prep when you do them. 5 to 10 minutes a day for at least 21 days. Most people go on to a full 30. And implementing those creates your habit of high self-esteem and high self-worth, crowding out the negative habits that you may have been carrying up to this point. If you can see the sense in this, then you're definitely going to want to explore the link that I'm posting below that's going to take you straight to this toolkit where you'll be able to download it and implement 30 days of self-esteem building, self-worth raising activities alongside bar prep, supporting your bar prep so that you can become confident. Confidence starts with you, not your performance. Right? You can see how the low self-esteem and low self-worth impacts your performance. And then you read your performance and you get negative feedback. The change starts with you. So if you can get into these tools and start the change from the inside, you'll see the results on your bar prep itself, and you will grow in your confidence to successfully tackle this thing. That's what I have for you. I love when you leave comments for me below. Leave that there so that I can interact with you there, and definitely hop into this toolkit that we have for raising your self-esteem and self-worth so that you can confidently tackle your bar exam. Bye for now.